Hey guys, this is Eric from Mindful Trader. This video is going to be about the options education I provide with this service. Before we dig in, I want to point out the URL on my screen. It would be great if you could pause the video, type in that URL, and take your time reading through the disclaimer that I have. It talks about what I offer here at Mindful Trader and also about the limitations of this service. So, I, at Mindful Trader, provide stock picks and options picks and futures picks. This video is about options, and you have a choice when you join the service here at Mindful Trader. You can just follow my picks themselves, which is a pretty easy thing to do. It doesn't take a lot of education to do it, but you also could choose to learn what's behind these picks. And I've done a lot of stock market research. That's kind of what powers all the trading decisions that I make, is all this research and backtesting that I've done. And I'm sharing that with subscribers so you can learn yourself exactly why I'm making certain trading decisions. And then at some point you can just start to make these trades on your own, where you don't need me or any other service to tell you what to trade. You'll just see the setups and the trading strategies yourself and recognize, okay, this is the one that has the back-tested data showing that in backtests it has this profitable edge. So that's kind of that's what I'm offering here, is the ability for you to learn the strategies themselves. So right now I'm looking at this chart for BTI on the screen. It's just a stock. You could trade it with a stock, using trade stocks to trade it, or you could trade options as a vehicle to trade it. But right when I look at this chart, I immediately know this qualifies, and that's you may be able to tell I actually bought this and I have a position right now. So if you go through the educational part of this, your eye will become trained at which charts and which patterns are ones that meet the profitable back-tested criteria and which ones aren't. So let's take a little walk through the website, okay? So this is the Mindful Trader website. If you subscribe, then you'll have an account activated, and so you would click the My Account button. And you can see here there's a few different sections. There's live trading. This is where you go to see my positions, my live positions, and my watch list, and also help getting started just when you're ready to get going in the beginning. Since we're talking today about options, I just wanted to point out this module right here. It's for options education. First, there's the options trading strategy, which is where I go over in detail what exactly my approach is with options trading. Then there's a section here on options basics. And that's where, for people who don't already know things, terminology such as strike price, or people who may not understand how expiration dates work, maybe the difference between a call option and a put option, things like that, just the basics, that's where I explain that. So if you're really new to this, that's okay. I feel like those are people who could benefit tremendously from what I'm offering, because I will tell you exactly what you would need to know to do these options trades that are based on all this research that I've done. So, again, just to reiterate, in case this isn't already clear from the site, the trades I do are not ones where I shoot from the hip or I'm using my intuition or something like that. They're all mechanical. They're based on taking a trading strategy, writing an algorithm for it, and seeing how it could have performed in history by using backtests. And again, if you can check out the disclaimer, you'll understand there are limitations to what backtests can offer, but there also is so much information we can gain from them. We can see which strategies may have performed well on a repeated basis throughout history. So that's what I like to trade, and that's what all my trades are based on. So let's see what else we have here. We have options trade examples. So this is just another video that shows exactly what it looks like to walk through me doing my own trade of an options setup. It's just, again, more educational. I also talk in detail in this segment about options versus stocks, and that is just a way to make sure, if you're kind of on the fence about which one should I do or what are the pros and cons, that will help you make that decision. I choose to trade both. I like the diversity of having both, and the options have maybe more home run potential the way I trade them, but they also have a lower win rate. The stocks have less of a home run potential, I guess you would say, but a higher win rate typically. And so I like having both of them. I like trading some of both because it kind of gives me that diversity, gives me some of both of them in my approach. I have a section here on reading options tickers, which just means when I post a trade, how exactly can you take that information and translate it into a trade. And I also have a list of my favorite optionable stocks. So again, there's quite a bit of information here. With this information, you should be able to make the same trades that I make on these options trades, but on your own if you want it. I want to say that my options trading approach is based on my stock trading approach. So in other words, I'm going to go back to this other screen. With BTI here, I just told you moments ago that I can tell just from looking at this chart, just looking at it, I already know this one is one that meets the back-tested trading strategy criteria. In other words, it's one that I would be happy to trade. So if there's a stock I'm happy to trade, I can trade it with either shares of stock or I can use an option to trade it. So in other words, the strategy that drives my stock trades is also what drives my options trades. It's just basically choosing which vehicle do I want to use to trade this. And if you may already have a preference. Maybe you already know you just want to stick to options. And if that's the case, there you go. You already have your answer. If you're on the fence, like I say, you can watch that options versus stocks video and learn that way maybe which insights are worth considering. But I want to point out basically, if you want to learn my options approach, you're going to actually need to learn my stock trading strategy. Even if you choose not to trade stocks, you need to understand that strategy if you want to trade the options trading strategy on your own without having to wait for me to post my own picks. Okay, it's a simple strategy though, I'll tell you, and I love it. One of the reasons I love it is because it's so simple, and yet it's repeated itself over and over and over throughout history in these back tests. In other words, over a 20+ year back test, it shows that this trading approach could have performed very well on a pretty repeated basis. There's certainly periods where it had losses, or it didn't have fantastic gains, or where it broke even. But there are, when you look back over the whole scope, this is literally the most robust trading strategy I've been able to find, and it's simple. So it's not something where, like I just told you, I just looked at the chart and I already knew this one qualified. That's how simple it is. It's something you can just look and know this one meets that criteria. So honestly, I feel like this one strategy, it could potentially be the basis of an entire trading career, or certainly some very profitable long-term trading. You never know the future. You can't tell the future. There's risk, etc. But if there were one trading strategy I wanted to hang my cap on, if I was really going to dedicate a lot of my resources, whether time or money, into trading, this would be the one. And that's what I do, as you know, since I run this service. All right, now let me go back to the website here. This is the page again. I was showing you this options education portal. This is where the customer home is, I guess, the login area of the Mindful Trader website. I'm going to go to the watch list because this is a major source of knowledge and information. And what you can see, these are tickers that I've put on the watch list. So each trading night, at the end of the night, I go and I post tickers that are setting up for potential trades the next day. I don't know for sure if they're going to trigger, but these are ones that are setting up, like they've met kind of the first key conditions of the trading criteria, and now I'm waiting to see, are they actually is the price going to get to a point where I can enter the trade? And you can see here I have potential entry. This indicates at what point would I be ready to enter the trade. And what's cool about the watch list is that even before I post my picks, which exact tickers I'm looking at. So the huge majority of the time, the trades that end up being posted as my official stock picks, the ones that I trade in my own account, they start on this watch list because these are basically all setting up, and these are literally the ones that are on my own watch list in my own trading platform. One of the cool things is that I show the stock ticker for those who want to do, trade the stock, but I also show the options information for the ones that have options available. Now, not every stock has options available, certainly not weekly options. But for the ones that do, I do the work to point out what is the options ticker for it that I'm looking at, that I'm considering. And so it basically kind of saves you some time there. So if you decide you want to study the options approach that I'm doing and you're trying to learn it on your own and you're using my watch list, this can be very helpful. It saves you time looking up options tickers and looking up stocks to see which ones have options tickers. But also, it also helps you to see these stocks, look at the chart for them and see why they're on the watch list. It kind of confirms your understanding of the trading strategy. You can kind of see, oh yeah, look, this is setting up. I see the way the setup looks, and he's saying the potential entry is here, and you can go and literally confirm that that entry directly matches your own understanding of the trading strategy. And so that makes it that makes this a great learning tool in my mind. It's like every day you get to reconfirm your understanding of the trading strategy and make sure you're clear on it. Make sure that these are all expected and that you aren't getting any surprises. And on that note, if questions do come up along the way as you're studying this stuff, I am ready for you. I mean, just hit me up with your questions. To me, that's one of the biggest values that I offer with Mindful Trader is that I try to make myself as accessible as I possibly can. So essentially what I'm trying to show you here is that if your goal is to learn my options trading strategy on your own so that you can trade it on your own, I give you everything you need to do that through the form of these tutorials and being able to ask me any questions that you want. So it is all right here, and it means you are in charge of whether or not you learn it. If you want to learn this and learn an approach that's based on this stock market research, you can do it. It's all right here for you. I do want to point out one more thing. I've shown this on other parts of the website, but I just want to make sure this is clear in case you entered through this page or you're seeing this video, from another area and haven't seen this yet. But this is a depiction of the value of a stock versus an option, after you've held the position for a bit. Okay, so if you buy a stock right here at $100, this blue line shows what the value of your position will be over time, as the price changes. The orange line represents that of the option. So if you buy an option and you hold it until expiration, and I typically, my approach is that I buy options that are between 2 to 8 days to expiration. So in other words, I'm buying it right before expiration, and therefore the value at expiration is meaningful and important to me. This orange line shows what that value would be, right as it's about to expire for an option. And what you can see is basically as the stock price goes up, the stock price has less potential profit than an option. So if the stock price just goes up a little bit after buying it, the stock is actually the better vehicle to use for that trade. Not that you can predict ahead of time necessarily exactly how far it's going to go up, but I'm just pointing out that there's kind of this area right here where stocks are more profitable to own if it turns out the price moves an amount in this kind of area. But if the stock goes up noticeably, the stock price itself goes up noticeably, the option would be much more profitable to own. And the further up the stock price goes while you own it, the more exaggerated the benefit is of owning the option. And that's what I want to point out. That's why, to me, it's worth trading options, learning to trade options, and why I include those in my trading approach. That's the whole purpose here for me, is having access to these trades that sometimes put out a really nice profit. And that's why I do it. There's also a fixed downside to options, which is nice. Now again, there's a video that I have about options versus stocks, and that it talks in even more detail about this. But I just wanted to show you what makes me excited about options, why I even trade them, why I think for me it was worth learning about them, and why it may be worth learning for you. It's really, the story is right here for me. It's the potential for some trades that end up with some really outsized gains. They don't happen all the time, but they can happen, and when they happen, they have a nice impact on the account. That is it. That's what I wanted to share with you in this video. If you have any questions about my options education service or about Mindful Trader in general, you can always reach out to me. My email is eric@mindfultrader.com. Thanks, guys.